Have you ever walked into a hospital and just wondered, what really separates a good one from a truly great one? It's a huge question. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the actual blueprint that world-class hospitals follow. All right, let's get into it.
So, what's the secret sauce? I mean, it's easy to think it's all about famous surgeons or the latest, shiniest medical gadgets. And sure, that stuff matters. But the real foundation of excellence, it's often completely invisible. It's built right into the systems, the processes, and the culture of the place.
And that's where this comes in. Joint Commission International, or JCI for short. Now, this isn't just a friendly list of suggestions. It's a super rigorous, globally recognized blueprint for quality. It basically redefines excellence not as some award you hang on the wall, but as this deep, ongoing commitment to keeping patients safe.
To really get our heads around this blueprint, we're going to break it down into 4 key parts. First, we'll talk about how everything revolves around the patient. Then, we'll dive into the invisible safety net designed to protect you. After that, we'll look at the solid foundations every great hospital needs. And finally, we'll see why this is so much more than just ticking boxes on a checklist.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the most important person in the entire building. You, the patient. The whole JCI philosophy is built around this idea that healthcare is something that happens with you, not just to you. It's all about protecting your rights and your experience.
And here's what's so powerful. JCI makes these rights completely non-negotiable. You have the right to be a part of the decision-making, to ask a million questions if you want, and even to ask for a second opinion without getting any attitude. Your privacy, your values, they have to be respected. And you should never have to wonder who's in charge of your care. This isn't just good customer service, it's a mandatory part of the blueprint.
You know, this whole idea of a partnership really boils down to one critical thing: communication. Because let's face it, you can't be a partner in your own healthcare if you don't really understand what's going on. And that leads us straight to the crucial topic of informed consent. So let's be super clear. Informed consent is not just about you signing a piece of paper 5 minutes before a procedure. It's a detailed conversation. JCI standards demand that this process covers all these bases: the name of the procedure, who exactly is doing it, a real talk about the risks and benefits, and even what other options you have. And the whole point is to make sure that when you say yes, it's because you truly get it. All right, let's move on to our second pillar, this idea of an invisible safety net. This is where things get really fascinating because it's all about the smart systems working behind the scenes to stop bad things from happening in the first place. And this is a total game changer in terms of thinking. Instead of just reacting after an error occurs, a JCI accredited hospital is constantly, proactively looking for weak spots in its own processes. The goal is to design a system where it's just plain easy to do the right thing and really hard to do the wrong thing. Here is a perfect real-world example of one of these safety systems. So, you can get a test result that's abnormal. You know, it's a little off, but not a 5-alarm fire. But a critical result? That's a whole different ballgame. That means a life is on the line right now. JCI requires hospitals to have a rock-solid, lightning-fast process for getting that critical result to a doctor immediately. No delays.
And get this. Think about how many medications have names that sound almost identical. It's a recipe for disaster, right? Well, JCI standards force hospitals to identify these look-alike, sound-alike drugs and create special procedures, like using unique labels or storing them far apart, just to prevent a dangerous mix-up. It seems so simple, but it saves lives.
5 minutes. What do you think this number means? Well, it's the absolute maximum time that can pass before a medical team has to start advanced life support for a patient in crisis. And here's the kicker. That's anywhere in the hospital, in the lobby, in a cafeteria, wherever. That one standard requires an incredible level of readiness and training across the board.
You know all the beeps and alarms you hear in a hospital? After a while, staff can actually start to tune them out. It's called alarm fatigue. So JCI steps in and makes hospitals tackle this problem head-on. They have to come up with strategies to make sure the alarms that really matter always cut through the noise. Okay, moving on to part 3. So, if the patient is the center of the universe, and you've got this safety net all around them, what's holding the whole thing up? Well, that's the foundation, having the right people in a safe place, all guided by the right principles. It's just common sense, isn't it? You can't have a world-class hospital without a rock-solid foundation. And this is why JCI standards dig into every single aspect of that foundation, from who's on staff to how the building itself is managed. So how do you make sure your staff is top-notch? JCI says you can't just take their word for it. Hospitals have to verify every single credential, every diploma, every license, by going straight to the original source. And it doesn't stop there. They have to do ongoing performance reviews and require training in critical skills like CPR, making sure everyone stays sharp for their entire career.
You know, a safe building is about more than just sturdy walls. Think about all the hazardous stuff a hospital has to deal with every single day. JCI requires a super strict, documented plan for how every single category is handled, stored, and disposed of. It's about protecting everyone, patients, staff, and the whole community.
And this might just be the most important part of the entire foundation. Real excellence comes from leadership that creates a culture of safety. That means making it safe for a nurse or a doctor to raise their hand and say, "Hey, I think I made a mistake," without fearing they'll be blamed. Because that is the only way an organization ever truly learns and gets better.
Okay, this brings us to our final and maybe most important section. It is so easy to look at all these rules and standards and just see a giant checklist. But if that's all you see, you are completely missing the point.
See, the real goal of JCI isn't to pass a test. It's to fundamentally change a hospital's culture. It's about weaving this idea of constant improvement right into the organization's DNA, so that everyone, from the CEO all the way down, is always asking, how can we do this better? How can we make this even safer?
This quote from the JCI standards just nails that philosophy. It's all about being proactive. It means hospitals have to actively hunt for risks within their own systems, analyze them, and then redesign things to get rid of those risks before a patient ever gets hurt. It's a job that is never, ever finished.
So to wrap it all up, what is this blueprint for excellence? Well, it starts by making the patient a true partner. It builds that invisible safety net into every single thing it does. It stands on a solid foundation of great people and a safe environment. And the engine that drives it all is a relentless desire to constantly measure, learn, and get better.
At the end of the day, this JCI blueprint is complex, sure, but its purpose couldn't be simpler: to make healthcare as safe as it is humanly possible to be. So the next time you walk into a hospital, I want you to look past the shiny floors and the fancy equipment. Look for these invisible layers of quality: the communication, the systems, the culture. The signs of real excellence are there, if you know what to look for. Will you see them now?